Hey everybody, this is Sage Valentine, and this is my review of Hannibal, Season 2, Episode 9, Shiizakana. What is a Shiizakana? It is a substantial dish, such as a hot pot. Okay, guys, Will is talking to Hannibal, who's tied to a tree. He says, which answer is it you want to hear? And Hannibal says, I want an admission. I want you to admit who you are. And like I said, we see Hannibal tied to the tree. There's a steer. No one can be fully aware of another human being unless we love them. This is what Hannibal says. And Will whistles, and every time he whistles, the rope tightens as the steer pulls and pulls. Then we see Hannibal dressed as the Wendigo with the antlers and the black stuff all on him. So to make a long story short, Will says, I promised you a reckoning, here it is. The rope tightens. We don't see Hannibal basically die, but we see blood splatter up in like this beautiful crimson V. Then we see Hannibal cooking something which I identified it was liver and like eggs in the omelet. It's actually known as a sacramonte omelet made with liver and sweetbreads. Sweetbreads are like those extra body parts like the pancreas and the gallbladder. It's like a delicacy for some people. What I wouldn't give to forget a thing or two now, says Jack. Hannibal questions what he's trying to forget. I let doubt in about Will. Hannibal admits, that Will's his patient. He can't really talk too much about Will. Then you see this man walking with coffee. And he's drinking his coffee. He's walking away from what looks like a gas station with a little, truck stop and a little store or whatever. So he gets into his truck. He starts up the truck. Something jumps on top of his truck. So he's outside. He's looking out. He's looking all around. The next thing you know, he gets snatched up and is basically gored by what looks like a wolf. Blood splattering everywhere. So we see that a throwback to last week when Hannibal stopped Will from killing Clark. And Hannibal asks, then we go back to our present day. Hannibal asks, Will, do you have any regrets? And Will says, Will's asking Hannibal, do you have any regrets? And Hannibal says, if I choose not to do something, it's for a good reason. And then he tells Will, a life without regret would be no life at all. And then he goes on, I didn't get every single quote, but I got the quotes that basically hit me. Being lucky isn't the same as making a mistake. Will regrets not pulling the trigger effectively. In other words, allowing Hannibal to stop him from killing Clark when he really desperately wanted to kill Clark. He says, adapt, evolve, become. Hannibal has Will close his eyes and imagine that he's back in that scene, and what would he really want to do that he wouldn't regret? And it's basically shooting Clark. So you see Clark, back of Clark's head just explode and Clark is dead. Will sees a missed opportunity and feels like he did when he killed Garrett Jacob Hobbs. If you don't know who Garrett Jacob Hobbs is, refer to season 1, but he was killing a bunch of girls who looked like his daughter Abigail. He was nutty, and Will basically shot the crap out of him and killed him in season 1. And so Will said even he felt that same way when he had Matthew Brown try to kill Hannibal. He said he felt a quiet sense of power. So somehow he meets Margot, which that whole scene was kind of iffy. And he tells her, I'm the guy who didn't kill all those people. Because she's asking, who are you? You look familiar. So Margot's sitting there with Hannibal. She still hates her brother. She said, at least I'll never be the worst person I know. She says she met Will and she wonders what Hannibal supports in Will. And she says that she's beginning to see what type of shrink Hannibal is. So I guess she's seeing through the cloud that no one else can see. We see blood dripping, body parts in a frozen body. So this guy from the truck stop. The scientists say, or the FBI guys say, that the bite almost severed the man's head. It's not an animal. It was evisceration, dismemberment, moving the animal closer to the city, not denying his nature, just evolving. It was a blood sport. So Will is looking at pictures from the crime scene, and we see Peter Bernardone. If you didn't see last week, refer to my video before this. I'll try to link it. Peter was the guy who basically was very close to animals, but had the tendency, I guess, to... I'll get to that later, but I'm going to link up who Peter basically was. But Peter, in the end, Peter had a friend, the friend was killing, and Peter was basically trying to bring back the bodies of those who the friend killed. Bring them back or honor them in a certain way. It involved horses. I'll link that video up to this. So Peter thinks it's a wolf or a bear, and he shows Will his little pet rat, Kevin. He says you can train a bear or a wolf or vice versa. You can train them long enough. And he says that he thinks that he can train Will. So I guess he's going to try to train Will, to kill. He tells Will, animals have friendships. We are the same. Don't blame the animals. Man is the creature who kills to kill. So Will finally realizes this is not an animal. This is a person. So we see tools, teeth. This guy's building stuff. And he's like trying out the teeth, and it's this prosthetic wolf face. The next thing you know, you see these two unsuspecting people, as always in every horror movie, walking away on this romantic walk through the snow. They're going towards this bonfire. The next thing you know, the guy in the thing jumps out at the man, attacks the man. The woman runs. She's attacked. She dies. Blood splatters through both deaths. Just splattering the white in such a beautiful, artistic way, but doesn't make it any less gory, but it's like very artistic, very beautiful. I'm like, this is pretty cool. So, Will's at the crime scene. He does his little pendulum thing, woof, woof, and everything disappears. It goes backwards. He acts like he's the killer. He's watching them from afar, and the only word that he says, because he's standing there with the steer, and he says, kill, and he's watching it firsthand as the steer is like tearing up both bodies, and then you see the steer lift up its head, and it's Will with the antlers on there. And it's not an animal. It's a man who wants to be an animal. He wants to maul. He doesn't need to know them. They are prey. So in other words, you're realizing that Will is slowly starting to embrace the murderer in him, and he has this strong desire to kill. So we're starting to see Will's downfall even further through this season. So the psychiatrist, like he said, the psychiatrist got him tamed. Let me see. He's either an engineer, he understands engineering. He made a suit he knows how to build. He was able to tame the psycho within him. He built his own beast and is a student of predators. I believe that's what Hannibal says. Will seems a little bit too comfy talking about the murder. He's no longer afraid of talking about it, like he had that fear, like that childlike innocent fear. Now it's just like he's more confident talking about it. And I don't know if that's a positive thing, or should I be very worried about Will, because I'm a little worried about him this season. I learned that the name of the killer with the big, huge wolf bear thing going on is Randall Tier. So Hannibal says this is instinct, this is the way he thinks. If we learn our limitations too soon, we never learn our power. Hannibal asks Will if Will prefers to kill with a knife or with a gun. Hannibal says that Will was living vicariously through Matt Brown. He asked him, were you living vicariously through Matt Brown and trying to kill me or killing me, or were you hiding behind Matt Brown? He says, you must allow yourself to be intimate with your instinct. Now, in this instance, we realize that Hannibal is again playing devil's advocate. And I do apologize, but the other quotes were also Hannibal speaking as well. You must, like I said, the scientists, they can't figure out who killed the people. Something is affected by species dysphoria. In other words, this man thinks that he's an animal and he's embracing that part of his crazy. So the killer built a bridge between who he is and who he wants to be. Or as Jack says, a suit. Hannibal treated a teen who suffered of an identity disorder, an animal born in the body of a man. He didn't believe in the actual metamorphosis, but he no longer felt the need to hide. There's a man building a skeleton. Hannibal approaches him, greets him, calls him by the name Randall, who immediately recognizes Hannibal. So this is the teenage boy that's going crazy as a man. He asks, are you still interested in teeth? Hannibal made it, easy for Randall to talk about his crazy and, or his affliction. And he said, you've come so far. He wants to talk to him about his progress, and he knows what he's done. He asked him, what is in your teeth now? Randall said, ragged bits of scalp cling to his teeth. Whew. Randall is like a son to him. He embraces him. He's not trying to stop him. He's trying to encourage him. So Hannibal warns him that the FBI is looking for him. Jack and Will go in to see Randall. Jack's admiring his work. Will notices the cave bear and said that the skull was used as a murder weapon. Randall says, Will says, use the right tool for the job. And Randall says, look into the skull and find out what the job is. Now, here this exchange is going in front of Jack Crawford, but Jack Crawford is, I don't know if he's not really paying attention, but he's so lost in whatever he's thinking. He's not seeing these killer exchanges between Hannibal and Will and Randall, Peter and Will, like this whole thing going around. Like, Jack is in his own little world at this point. I think Will says the internal map of his body did not match reality. He is better okay, this is what Will's telling Hannibal. The internal map of his body did not match reality. He is a better proof This is Hannibal telling Will this, guys. I'm sorry. The internal map of Randall's body did not match reality. And Will says, well, he is better proof mental illness is treatable. Will knows that Hannibal basically talked to Randall. So Will's aware, Jack Crawford is not. And Margot goes to Will's house, and like I spoke to my mom, and Mom was like, what the hell did she go to the house for? I'm like, exactly. Is she following Hannibal's advice to find somebody to kill her brother? Like, what is she going to seduce Will, enlist Will to do this? I swear, Will's like the murderer for hire or something. They basically know each other because they kind of met each other outside of Hannibal's office. And she asks for whiskey. She comes in. He asks, is she the heir to her family fortune? She says no, because she was born with the wrong parts and has an affinity for the wrong parts. And Margot says she came for a character reference. She's like, what do you think of Hannibal's therapy? She talks about her private carnage to kill her brother and asks about Will's. And he says he tried to kill Hannibal. And she was like, did he have it coming? He was like, what do you think? For some reason, their treatment is similar. But this is where Hannibal is all messing up. Like, he is not doing the right thing. He's slipping up because he's becoming too confident, too cocky in this scene. Or in this, like, particular part of the season. Like, season 1, he's very meticulous, barely made any mistakes. But after trapping Will, it's like it's all downhill from there. So what would happen if patients start to compare notes? That's what Will says to Hannibal. You can be persuasive. How many were like me, Will says, or like Randall? Hannibal says, every patient is unique. So Will slips up and tells him about how Bedelia, in the beginning of the season, visited him, believed him about Hannibal, and knew that there were others like him. Now, at this point, he kind of asks, did you kill her? He says, no. I'm like, no, he didn't kill her. He just ate her. I told you guys a couple reviews before that I could have sworn, and I had a weird feeling that Hannibal ate Bedelia, and maybe that body that Beverly saw was probably Bedelia Dumer's body. Just saying, because Gillian Anderson is on Crisis. So, I mean, you can do 2 different shows, but we didn't exactly see her leave. So my conspiracy theories, guys, you know I am, so just saying. So, he also said that Bedelia knew that there were others just like Will that Hannibal treated. And he says, what do you think about when you think about killing? And Hannibal says, God. Now, he doesn't mention God as in the way that we would think that he's a God over us. No, he thinks that God sits back and watches all the carnage, all the death, all the violent deaths, and basically gloats in it. That's his version of God. And he tells Will that he should talk to Randall. I'm like, what does Will need to talk to Randall? Then the next thing you know, you see Randall suiting up, putting on the bones, putting on the face mask, the whole 9 yards. Hannibal wants to encourage Randall. The beast is in his higher self. And they're watching, and they see a house. I'm like, that's Will's house. So Will opens up the door, and Buster goes running out, because all the dogs are barking at the door. Buster's running out. So he runs off, and you hear him go, "Arr!" Like I guess he got bit or something. So Will goes, he gets his coat, his gun, he runs. up, he sees Buster, and he notices something's there. So he grabs Buster, and he's running. Meanwhile, you see, like, as Will, I like the whole cinematography of that scene. You see Will running down through the snow, and you see what looks like a tornado, like a Tasmanian devil, like running through the snow, and like the snow's flying everywhere. I was like, beautiful cinematography, by the way. So, like I said, Randall's away. He's watching. Will gets away. Will runs, holding Buster. They're running. That thing is like completely after him. Will makes it to the door. He backs up towards his bedroom door, turns off the lights. Randall jumps through the glass, breaks through. Then we see Hannibal going to his office, opening the door, and what do we see but Randall's dead body laying across the long table in Hannibal's office. And you see Will just sitting there just looking, and he says, "I'd say this makes us even. I sent someone to kill you. You sent someone to kill me. Even Steven." As I've said for this season, and I'm going to wrap it up here, but every episode of season 2 of Hannibal has been a step up from the previous episodes. So all 9 episodes have been a step up. So I guess episode 10 is going to be ridiculous. And we're finally going to get to see Mason Verger, because, spoiler alert, Mason Verger is played by actor Michael Pitt, Jimmy from Boardwalk Empire. Sorry, guys, but I had to know. But anyway, when you see Michael Pitt's face, you'll know I'm talking about. That's the Michael Pitt I've been talking about for the past 9 reviews, guys. I'm just excited, and I can't wait to see the finale, but I'm waiting for everything to just roll into place and all the gears to just roll, and then we just get to that one point, that point where Jack is there with his throat cut and he has the battle royale with Hannibal Lecter. So anyway, guys, so definitely, thanks you guys for watching. Check out my reviews of Believe on Sunday, The Following on Monday, Survivor on Wednesday, and Hannibal again on Friday. And I will have a review of Mad Men. It might be a later review this week, but I'll definitely have a review. So thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great weekend. And don't forget, if you like my brand of crazy, definitely subscribe. If I missed anything, if you have anything else to say, anything to add, definitely comment. And definitely, if you like this video, a big thumbs up for me. So take care, guys, and I'm gonna miss you till Sunday. So bye, guys. Bye.